AITA for uninviting my future MIL from the wedding after she secretly altered my dress to be more modest. She says I owe her because she paid for the alterations. I've honestly been trying to hold everything together while planning this wedding. I thought the hardest part would be navigating vendors or staying on budget, but it turns out the real challenge is dealing with my fiancé's mother. For the sake of clarity, I'll call her Diane. She's one of those women who thrives on appearances, believes strongly in tradition, and tends to insert herself where she's not invited, all while smiling sweetly and pretending it's for your own good. I, 27F, am getting married to my fiancé, Jake, 29M, in about 2 months. Jake is amazing, calm, respectful, and actually the one who encouraged me to set boundaries with his mom after some minor issues early on. Diane and I have always had a polite but slightly tense relationship. She's very involved in her church community and tends to see things through a moral lens I don't always agree with. While I respect her beliefs, I don't want them imposed on my choices, especially not my wedding. The dress I chose is elegant, simple, and fits me beautifully. It's not even revealing, really, just a tasteful low back, no sleeves, and a flattering neckline. But from the moment she saw a picture of it, Diane gave me that look. Not even outright disapproval, just a disappointed head tilt and a passive comment like, "Oh, that's what you're going with?" I brushed it off, thinking she'd get over it. She offered to cover the cost of the alterations as a gift. It felt generous at the time, especially since the dress just needed a small adjustment at the waist and hem. But I probably should have thought twice, considering how persistent she had been about the modesty conversation. Jake and I both thought she was trying to be kind by offering, and honestly, it helped with the budget a little. So I said yes. Jake and I dropped the dress off at the tailor she recommended, a woman from her church, and I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't expecting what I saw when I went to pick it up 2 weeks later. The moment the tailor pulled the dress out of the garment bag, I knew something was off. It didn't even look like my dress anymore. The once open back was now fully covered with lace and satin. The neckline had been raised several inches, completely altering the original silhouette, and there were now sleeves where there had been none. My heart sank. It wasn't just an alteration, it was a total redesign. I asked the tailor, completely stunned, what happened to my dress. She looked at me like I should be grateful and said, "Your mother-in-law requested a more respectable version. You look so elegant now." I couldn't even respond. I just nodded stiffly, paid the woman out of pocket, and left with the dress in tears. When I got home, I showed it to Jake, and his face dropped. He was speechless at first, then furious. He immediately called his mom. I stayed out of the room for that call, but I heard enough. Diane didn't deny it. In fact, she said she had to step in because modesty matters, and she was only trying to protect our family's image. She even had the nerve to say I should be thanking her for saving me from embarrassing myself in front of Jake's extended family. Jake told her she had crossed a serious line and that this wasn't her wedding. She fired back that she paid for the alterations, so she had every right to influence the design. He told her we would talk about it later, and she hung up without another word. I sat there holding what used to be my dream dress and just cried. I had been so excited to wear it, to feel beautiful and confident. Now, I just felt violated. Someone had taken something deeply personal to me and changed it without consent. The worst part is that she didn't even apologize. In her mind, she was right. That night, Jake and I had a long talk. I told him I didn't feel comfortable having her at the wedding anymore. He hesitated at first, asking if there was a way to set firm boundaries instead. But the more we talked, the more we both realized this wasn't about a dress. It was about control, disrespect, and her complete disregard for my autonomy. We tried to calm down and think clearly the next morning. Jake suggested we give Diane a chance to apologize, to own what she did, and promise to stay out of the rest of the planning. I didn't love the idea, but I agreed, because if there was a chance she could recognize how badly she crossed the line, maybe we could salvage things. So, he called her again. This time, she wasn't angry, she was smug. She said, "I just don't understand why you're both so upset. The dress looks better now. More appropriate. You'll thank me one day." Jake asked her directly if she thought she did anything wrong. Her response was, "Wrong? No. I made an executive decision for the good of the family. I've been married for 30 years, I know what's best." That was it for me. I walked over, took the phone from Jake, and told her, calmly but firmly, that I was uninviting her from the wedding. She laughed like I was joking and said, "You'll come to your senses. I paid for that alteration, remember?" And I said, "Exactly. You paid for something I didn't ask for, didn't want, and now can't fix. That's not generosity, that's sabotage." She went quiet, then said something like, "You think Jake will go through with this wedding without his mother there?" I didn't even answer. I just hung up. Jake supported me. Completely. He told me he was ashamed of her behavior and that this wedding was about us, not family politics. He even offered to help me find a new dress if I didn't want to wear the altered one, which broke my heart. I had dreamed of that dress for years. The next day, we started receiving texts from Jake's aunts and cousins, some furious, others confused. Diane had spun the story, saying I'd gone bridezilla and was trying to erase Jake's family from the wedding. We didn't respond to any of them. Instead, we sat down and made a list of boundaries. Not just for the wedding, but for our future marriage. Update 2. Hey Reddit, I didn't think I'd be back with an update, but so much has happened since we uninvited Diane that I needed to vent, and also get some perspective. After we cut contact with her, things escalated fast. Diane started reaching out to other members of my family. Yeah. My family. She sent my mom a long email about how she was deeply concerned for Jake and claimed I had manipulated him into isolating her. She even attached before and after pictures of the dress, claiming I was overreacting to a tasteful improvement. My mom didn't buy it for a second. She texted me a screenshot of the email and wrote, "Is this woman serious?" That gave me a weird mix of validation and horror. Diane wasn't just upset, she was actively campaigning to paint me as the villain in everyone's eyes. Jake was livid. He told her to stop contacting my side of the family immediately or he'd block her number and email entirely. Her response? She doubled down. Claimed she had every right to be involved in her son's life and the wedding because she was financially invested. I guess she thought paying for a few alterations gave her ownership over our entire event. We decided to meet with a couples counselor, Jake's idea, honestly, to make sure we were staying on the same page and managing the stress together. It was probably the best thing we did. The counselor helped us establish boundaries, both with Diane and other family members, and gave us tools to stick to them without feeling guilty. That said, the drama didn't stop there. A few days later, Jake's older brother Tom called him. Apparently, Diane was trying to organize a separate family wedding reception, a more modest and God-honoring version of our wedding, with a family-approved guest list. I wish I were joking. Tom thought it was insane and told her it was a terrible idea, but she was already contacting vendors. She even tried to hire a local church hall. Jake and I were horrified. This wasn't just meddling anymore, it felt like sabotage. Like she was trying to create a version of our wedding without me. So we made a hard decision. We moved the wedding date up by a month, changed the venue, and only told people we absolutely trusted. We invited Jake's dad and a few cousins we were close to, but we left out Diane and anyone we knew might leak the info. We had to reprint invitations, change the hotel block, and rearrange everything, but it felt like the only way to reclaim our day. It was stressful, expensive, and deeply emotional. But it also made us feel like a team. Like we were choosing each other, no matter what anyone else tried to pull. Update 3. So, here's the final part of the saga. After moving the wedding up and locking everything down, we thought we were finally free of the chaos. But no, Diane didn't let up. A few days before our new wedding date, she showed up at my mom's house unannounced, demanding to speak to Jake. Mom didn't let her in but texted me right away. She said Diane was crying and claimed she was having a nervous breakdown over losing her place in the wedding. I knew Diane's version of events had been twisted, but this felt like manipulation at its finest. My first instinct was to stay calm. I had worked too hard to get here, and I wasn't about to let her guilt-trip me again. So, Jake called her. This time, I could hear both sides of the conversation, and it was worse than I imagined. Diane said she'd never been treated this way by a daughter-in-law, and that I was being ungrateful for everything she'd done. She said I was ruining her relationship with Jake, and that if I truly cared about him, I would let her be a part of the wedding. Jake's voice shook when he told her, "This is our wedding, not yours. You made your choices. I'm done." He ended the call, and that was that. I felt a mix of relief and guilt. Relief because we had finally drawn the line, but guilt because Diane truly believed she had the right to decide things for us. The wedding went off without a hitch. It was small, intimate, and everything we wanted it to be. Diane didn't show up, and surprisingly, neither did any of the family members she tried to manipulate. We were surrounded by friends, people who respected our wishes, and it felt like the most beautiful day of our lives. Jake and I are doing great, and our marriage is stronger than ever. We've talked a lot about how we'll deal with any future conflicts with family members, and we're both on the same page. No more letting anyone cross boundaries without consequences. Diane still hasn't spoken to us since the wedding, and at this point, I'm honestly okay with that. I don't regret uninviting her, and if anything, it's made me realize how important it is to stand firm in my boundaries, especially when it comes to family. Thanks, Reddit, for all the advice and support. It made a huge difference in how I handled everything. What do you think? Tell us in the comments. Like the video and hit the subscribe button for more Reddit stories.